Hello everybody, it's Tim here again, here another review, this time for Peacemaker Season 2. Now, Peacemaker Season 1, I liked. I didn't love it. I thought it was like good to pretty good as a whole. Like I said, I liked it. I didn't love it. Some people who are like hardcore James Gunn fans like really love it. And I think that's kind of my problem with James Gunn. While I think he's a good writer, I think he's honestly a better writer than he is a director. Um, while I like James Gunn, also his hardcore fans like annoy me because they really overrate the dude. And or at least to me, it feels like they really overrate the dude. But as far as I go with James Gunn, I enjoy his work. I do. I'm a fan, but I'm not like a super fan. I think the guy has maybe like two really, really, or two awesome films with The Suicide Squad and the first Guardians of the Galaxy. And then I thought Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was pretty good. It was a step down. Then Guardians of the Galaxy 3 I thought was just good. It was an obvious step down. Um, Creature Commandos was just more of the same shit. Peacemaker was more of the same shit as well. But at the same time, I thought John Cena was really fun in the role, and I enjoyed like just seeing the character kind of come into his own and eventually like saving the day by the end. Here, this is the worst thing he's ever done. This sucked. As a whole, I can give it like a low 2 stars out of 5. It's passable. This just is not very good. Most of this season just doesn't even feel like it has a reason to exist. Most of it, you got John Cena's Peacemaker just kind of like off doing his own thing, where he's like interacting with this alternate dimension or whatever version of his reality that eventually finds out it's not as good as he thought it was because it's actually like a big Nazi place. But his brother is still alive over there. And then you got James Gunn's wife playing the Emilia Harcourt or whatever her name is character, who's kind of like John Cena's love interest. She does good. She's fine in the show. None of the acting here is bad. A vigilante character I thought was kind of fun in the first season. Really does almost nothing this season. I don't even know why they kept him alive because he's useless here. Um, it's cool to see Robert Patrick back again. He does a good job. One thing leads to another, and John Cena like murders the alternate version of himself or whatever, and he goes to like the alternate dimension where his dad is like still alive and everything. He pretty much fucks everything up there, even though it was like a Nazi place or whatever. And then he starts to like realize by the end of like, oh, I don't think my dad or whatever was a Nazi in this dimension or whatever. So in that dimension, I guess he's like a hero or a good person, his dad or whatever. Um, and then he like pretty much about causes the death of his brother in that dimension as well. And then you got what Joel Kinnaman shows up here as Rick Flag, who was in the Suicide Squad, who got killed, and he's like shows up in like an alternate dimension or whatever. I believe it's an alternate dimension version of himself, and you find out he used to like date the James Gunn's wife character or whatever, the Emilia Harcourt character. I think that's how you say her name, which kind of interferes with that. Well, some people think it interferes with continuity because he should have been dating like the Enchantress, like June Moon at the time, because I believe he even mentions her. Like I don't know how to break this off with her or whatever, but I don't count like the James Gunn like DCU universe or whatever in the same continuity as the DCEU. That's its own thing. This is its own thing. And he retcons the ending of the first season or whatever, where instead of the Justice League, it's the Justice Gang in order to place this in the DCU. I don't have a problem with that because I just assume that it's just like a mirror universe where that first season did happen in the DCEU, but this is a sequel to the same exact events that happened in the DCU, James Gunn's universe, where instead of the Justice League, it was the Justice Gang. That's just how I rationalize it. It is kind of a weak, just like continuity, like alteration or whatever. I thought he was just gonna like end up going to another dimension or something. We're just gonna get new versions of these characters or who are like alternate versions of themselves. And that would just continue it from there. But no, it's just basically a retcon. It's like, you know, here, done, move on. Michael Rooker shows up in here as like this Native American eagle tracker dude who's trying to like shoot down eagle or whatever, and he gets killed by the end by a big swarm of like shitty CGI eagles. I don't know why he was here. He adds nothing. I know he's friends with James Gunn, but you didn't need the character at all. Tim Meadows is in here, the dude that was in Saturday Night Live. He's like did the ladies' man all the time. He's charming here, but ultimately he doesn't really get to do much. He's just kind of here, but it's still fun to kind of have him here. Frank Grillo plays like Rick Flag Sr. is like the father of Rick Flag, and he did the voice in Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos was like an average James Gunn show, just him doing like the Suicide Squad thing again, just under a different name. It's neat to see him here in live action, but he's just kind of okay as the real, like a live action version of the character. He was actually better as the animated voice, in my opinion. He just doesn't totally fit this character. I don't know what it is, but he just feels out of place. You just don't really feel it. And when he's like beating the shit out of like John Cena for revenge for the death of his son, like some of the hits he does to him, that would kill him in real life. There would be no surviving that. But when he gets out of the interrogation room, whatever, he's just got like a few blood droplets on his face and like a scratch or whatever. And I'm like, No, no, no. You're dead, dude. But we get to the end, and John Cena's character Peacemaker gets captured, and he gets like locked away in this like alternate dimension, like Frank Grillo, who's playing like Rick Flag Senior, calls it like a metahuman prison for metahumans or whatever, and he wants to test how it will do on like humans or whatever, and he's like, John Cena's like, I didn't sign up for anything. He's like, oh, you didn't? Because they don't give a fuck, they're locking him in there anyway. So he gets in prison there, and that's just pretty much where it ends. So it just kind of ends on like a whimper. And I know James Gunn has said, no, this is the end of Peacemaker. I'd like to believe that because I don't really think this character is that interesting. Like, I really did enjoy him in The Suicide Squad, but to be honest, I really didn't need more of him. But I did enjoy that first season of Peacemaker. But now, after this, I can tell that this character is just stretched thin. There's just not a lot to him. There's just not a lot you can do with a character who's just like a crazy motherfucker who thinks that killing as many people as possible is like the it's going to achieve peace. It's basically like giving the character the comedian from Watchmen an extended show. Like, these characters are not that. This character is not that complex to where he needs multiple seasons of a show plus a role in a movie. He just doesn't need it. There's not enough material there. Uh, but yeah, this sucked. This is the worst thing James Gunn has ever attached his name to. Um, and I was disappointed in it. Even though I'm a James Gunn fan, not a super fan, I was still disappointed in this. I expected better here. But yeah, he's kind of said he's done with Peacemaker. And while part of me is like, I hope that's true, I know it isn't. What he really means is that Peacemaker, the series, is over. But he's going to try to do some kind of spin-off or whatever where the Peacemaker character like comes back and does some other kinds of shit or whatever. And you don't need it. I don't, or at least I don't. I do not need more of this character. I don't. But for this season or whatever, it's passable. It's a passable one-off watch. I will never see this again. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.